Have you ever noticed how some scents can completely change your mood? Maybe a smell that calms you immediately, or another that, for no reason, makes you restless. This is no coincidence. There is something much deeper happening, something that few people know about, but that can influence your life in an invisible and powerful way. What you feel through your sense of smell may be more than just a simple reflection of the environment. It has the power to open doors, guide our emotions, and even influence our spiritual journey without you realizing it. And the most curious thing, many of these influences come from aromas we use every day without fully understanding what they carry with them. Today, I will explain how certain aromas can impact your spiritual life in ways you never imagined. And the most important part, how you can protect yourself from this invisible influence. Stay until the end, and I will show you exactly how something as simple as a smell can open spiritual doors in your life and what to do to safely close those doors. You will understand how it affects your emotions, decisions, and even your inner peace. I am Aminata Kande, and for many years I was immersed in spiritual paths that taught me profound lessons about the invisible. But it was only when God freed me and revealed the truth to me that I began to see how the spiritual world operates in ways that are not so obvious. Now that you're here, ready to understand what these aromas can really do, let's begin. There are 3 types of aromas that act in the spiritual world, and the most intriguing part, not all of them come with a warning. They are around you all the time, and you may be allowing them to enter your life without even knowing the impact they may have. The first type of aroma we are going to talk about is the most common, the most accepted, and often the most innocent. Have you ever noticed how certain essences that awaken emotions can invade a space and create a feeling of purification and tranquility? These are fragrances that many associate with calm and spiritual harmony, often used in various spiritual practices and rituals over the centuries. Many people believe these essences are simply calming or purifying, but what few know is that these essences have an invisible power capable of deeply influencing the environment and often our inner energy. Before we continue with the video, I just wanted to quickly ask you something. If you're enjoying it, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to see how far this message is reaching. These natural aromas, frequently used in incense or essential oils, have a direct connection with ancient spiritual practices. And without realizing it, you may be opening a door to the spiritual world without knowing the true intention behind that scent. Smell is a powerful key, and often the right scent at the right time can prepare an environment for spiritual influence, whether positive or negative. Be alert. What you think is just a pleasant smell might actually be an open door to something that goes beyond what you can control. As I mentioned, these natural aromas have a depth that goes beyond simple sensory pleasure. I saw this with my own eyes. During my long spiritual journey, being immersed in occultism, I learned that entities move by codes, and aroma is one of those codes. The first time I realized this was in an invocation ritual, where the burning of Palo Santo wasn't just for purification, but to prepare the environment for the arrival of spiritual energy. When I began to understand this, I realized that aromas like myrrh or patchouli, so popular in purification rituals and spiritual connection, can be used with much more complex intentions than many imagine. They not only have the power to calm or purify, but they also have the power to invoke and activate invisible spiritual forces. Therefore, every time you smell an incense or scented candle, know that it's not just the natural aroma you are feeling. There is a spiritual energy associated with it, which goes beyond what our eyes can see. In 2 Corinthians 2:14-16, Paul speaks about how we are the sweet aroma of Christ to those who are saved, and the bad smell to those who do not believe. But thanks be to God, who in Christ always leads us in triumph, and through us spreads everywhere the fragrance of the knowledge of Him. For we are the aroma of Christ to God among those who are being saved and among those who are perishing. To the one, an aroma from death to death, to the other, an aroma from life to life. This teaches us that smell is not just a physical sense, but also spiritual, and that aromas have the power to attract or repel, to build up or destroy spiritually. Have you ever noticed how perfume has the power to instantly change the atmosphere around you? This is our second sensory factor, and it's not just a pleasant fragrance. Perfume is much more than that. It carries within it a spiritual intention, often invisible to the eyes, but present in every molecule of its aroma. In my spiritual journey, I learned that perfume can be a tool for spiritual manipulation. During the time I was immersed in occult practices, I realized that certain perfumes weren't chosen by chance. They were used strategically to attract, seduce, or even control the emotions of those around. It's something you can feel without knowing why. Have you ever entered a place and, without intending to, were attracted to someone who wore a specific perfume? Did you feel that urge to get closer? That's not just a chemical effect. Perfume has the power to affect our energy, awaken emotions, and often connect us to an energy that we don't fully understand. Ephesians 5:2 says, "And walk in love, as Christ also loved us and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling aroma." Here, Paul teaches us that the sweet-smelling aroma can be something spiritual, a fragrance that attracts and purifies. But in the case of perfumes used manipulatively, on the contrary, they can attract us to spiritual paths that are not aligned with the divine purpose. Perfume, therefore, is not just a physical fragrance. It opens spiritual doors and can act as an invisible key that connects us with energies, both good and bad, depending on how it is used. I personally witnessed this when I realized that some people around me, simply by using certain perfumes, exerted an attraction power that wasn't just physical, but spiritual. Now, think for a moment. Have you ever entered an environment and suddenly felt something strange in the air without understanding why? Perhaps you felt drawn to someone without knowing exactly why, or even uncomfortable with a smell that seemed to infiltrate your being in an imperceptible way. This happens in everyday life, often without us knowing why. At work, for example, when someone gets close to you and you feel that sweet or intense perfume in the air, have you ever wondered what that smell is doing to your emotions? It's not just the scent itself, but the energy it carries. The perfume of a person can alter the environment, creating a sense of connection or even separation without you consciously realizing it. This is not just a physical phenomenon, it's spiritual. And I'm not talking about something mystical or distant. This happens every day, and many of us don't pay attention. In commerce, for example, aromas are used strategically. You enter a store and are greeted by a pleasant smell, perhaps of flowers or even a lighter perfume. This was planned. Companies know the power of smell, and they use perfumes and essences to make you feel good, to create an emotional connection with their products. What you feel is the energy being manipulated around you, moving your emotions imperceptibly, but very real. Did you know that aroma can influence your decisions directly or indirectly? When you feel a pleasant smell, your mind opens, and you tend to be more receptive, more willing to spend, to trust. This is the power of perfume, and it is much more present in our daily lives than we realize. Proverbs 27:9 says, "Ointment and perfume delight the heart, and the sweetness of a friend comes from the earnest counsel." Here, perfume is associated with something that delights the heart. But remember, not every perfume brings true joy. When used wrongly, certain perfumes can awaken emotions that are not healthy or aligned with the spiritual principles we should seek. Remember, our bodies are moved by sensations, by sensory actions. What we feel, touch, hear, and of course what we smell, are impulses that shape our emotions and decisions. It's not just a physical reflection, but a response that goes far beyond what we see at first glance. Now that you understand the impact of natural aromas and perfumes, we come to the last item, and this one may be the most interesting and surprising of all. Have you ever stopped to think about the power of something as simple and everyday as coffee? That's right, the coffee you drink in the morning or when you need a little push to start your day. But what many don't know is that coffee has a spiritual power that goes far beyond just keeping you awake. Throughout my journey, I saw how coffee was used in spiritual rituals as a tool to awaken the mind and attract invisible energies. I'm not just talking about the coffee you buy at the store. I'm talking about the coffee that has a spiritual intention behind it, whether in its natural properties or in the rituals that use it. Now, you must be wondering, how can something as simple as coffee have such a great spiritual impact? The answer lies in the intentions with which it is used. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, coffee is not just a drink, but a means of spiritual preparation. During my journey, I saw with my own eyes how coffee is used in invocation rituals and spiritual awakening. We're not talking about the coffee you drink in your daily routine to stay awake. We're talking about specific preparations, with coffee being used as a spiritual tool. For example, in certain rituals of deep meditation and connection with the invisible, coffee is brewed with the intention of opening spiritual channels. When prepared in a ritualized manner, coffee is consumed during spiritual sessions to expand perception and help the practitioner connect with spiritual entities. This process is not something done by chance. Coffee has a powerful energy that, when combined with the right intention, becomes a channel to the spiritual. In some traditions, like shamanism, coffee is used in purification ceremonies. Shamans believe that coffee helps cleanse negative energies and prepare the mind for what's to come. When consumed, it awakens the spirit, activating the connection with invisible forces and preparing the practitioner to face the unknown. Coffee, in rituals like this, is not just something to wake you up, but to expand the mind, sharpen perception, and expand spiritual consciousness. What you consume then is more than just a simple physical necessity. Coffee, with its intensity, has the ability to open spiritual doors. When consumed with the intention of awakening the spiritual mind, it becomes a sacred tool used in rituals of healing, purification, and connection with the divine. In many practices, it is considered a symbolic sacrifice, where the roasted coffee bean represents spiritual transformation and the drink consumed is seen as a link with the invisible. 1 Corinthians 10:21 reminds us, "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons." Coffee, just like any other substance or practice, can be used with good or bad intentions. What makes coffee in spiritual rituals so powerful is not just its taste or smell, but the energy that accompanies it and the intention with which it is consumed. It's important to make it clear. I'm not saying you need to stop drinking coffee. Coffee, when consumed in moderation and without negative spiritual intentions, is just a drink that can even bring physical benefits. What I want to guide you on is being aware of how it can be used in spiritual contexts and how it can affect your energy, especially when used in a ritualized manner or with intentions that are not the best for your journey. Be alert, for when coffee begins to be consumed in excess, or when it becomes a tool for manipulation or spiritual control, that's when it can begin to influence your mind and spirit in ways you don't realize. The key is always discernment. Be conscious of what you're consuming and with what intention. As we talk about the power of aromas, it's interesting to notice how simple and everyday things can have such a big impact on our spiritual life. Perfume, coffee, and even the natural essences we use in our daily life have an invisible power that goes beyond pleasing the senses. They are like bridges to energies that influence not only our bodies but also our souls and the environment around us. And the most fascinating part is that many times we don't even perceive these influences. We are moved by sensations, and these sensations have the power to change our emotions, our peace, and even our connection to the divine. Therefore, the wisdom lies in being conscious of what we are allowing into our lives and spirits, whether through a simple perfume, a coffee in the morning, or an essence used in a ritual. The key, then, is understanding that aromas are not just smells, they are channelers of energy. And when we become more conscious of this, we begin to see the world differently, more attentively, and protected. Sometimes a simple act, like what we choose to consume, can be the starting point for a significant change. Therefore, as you go through this world of aromas, remember, what you feel, what you choose, has an invisible power. And it's up to you with discernment to choose how this will affect your spiritual life. What we learned today is simple. Aromas are more than senses. They are portals to the spiritual. By becoming more aware of what surrounds us, we can make wiser choices and keep our inner peace intact. The secret is discerning what each smell truly brings to our lives and realizing that deep down, everything we feel shapes us. So, what do you think? This is just the beginning of our journey together. If this message touched you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here we have new videos every day, always with teachings that can make a difference in your spiritual and emotional life. Share in the comments what you think about aromas and how they affect your day-to-day life. I want to know your opinion and how you have experienced these influences. We are forming a strong community, and each one of you is a fundamental part of this journey. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to not miss any content that will strengthen your faith and discernment. See you in the next video. Until then, God is with you, guiding your steps and protecting your way.